Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Bound Journals, and this is the start of a new series where I will be making a journal from start to finish for the mental health giveaway challenge I'm doing, which is raising money for Beyond Blue, which helps with depression and anxiety, and also for the book that I am publishing this year for well-being. And so this journal that I'm making will be blue themed and filled with the things that give me joy. So I hope it is an uplifting and comforting journal for the winner. And to enter this giveaway and be part of this fundraising challenge, people are donating crafty items that will be made into $10 mystery packs. And donations are open till the end of February. So feel free to email me for my address and for your name to be entered in the giveaway. Last time we did this, 40 ladies from around the world donated, which was absolutely amazing, and 100 packs were sold. So while I'm sharing my process from start to finish, I think there's about 5 or 6 videos in this series, I am going to share some of my journey of mental health with you. For this first video, I want to share some tips first of how to respond when someone shares their mental health struggles. And I want to do this because I know many people struggle with opening up about it, about what they're going through, because they're afraid of how people will respond. And often people can give unhelpful responses, and I can put my hand up and say I've been there. Before I had depression and anxiety in 2015 and 16, I am quite sure I was insensitive and caused harm because of my opinions and the things I said. I meant well, but sometimes it isn't enough to mean well. I had to learn some things and have my perspective change. And now that I understand what it's like to go through depression and anxiety, I've now learned what helps and what doesn't help when I share my struggles in the responses that I receive. So I know many people mean well and they want to help. So I hope these tips make more room for open discussion about mental health, where people who are struggling can feel safe to share, and the people who are listening can respond well and not just mean well. So throughout my life, I've always had depressive phases and lent towards an anxious temperament, and I'm okay with this now. I've learned tools to look after myself, and now I'm okay with talking about my experience, and I want to talk about it, but often I'm afraid to talk about it because of the fear of how people will respond. And I know I'm not alone in this. So many of us struggle with the fear of judgment, where people will look down on us for struggling with mental health. And then we might feel burdened to pretend, oh, I'm actually fine, it's all good, because we don't want that judgment. We struggle with the fear of where people get distressed and they freak out. And then we feel like we're burdened with feeling like we have to look after them. It's like, no, we just wanted someone to talk to. We don't want you to freak out, and now we have to look after you and be like, it's okay, don't freak out. We're the ones struggling. We don't have to be burdened with looking after you. We just wanted someone to listen, that's all. You don't need to freak out. And then another fear is, the fear of advice, where the person tries to fix us, and then that makes us feel burdened, that we feel like we need to change, like there's something wrong with us, and that the person can't handle the way we are, so we feel like we have to change. So in a nutshell, I don't want people to judge me, freak out, or fix me. I just want to be seen, heard, and loved. And to go into specifics, here is a list of my personal list of how not to respond and how to respond when someone shares their mental health struggles, with a caveat noting that we're all different, and maybe my list is going to be different to other people's. So the first thing is of how not to respond. Don't disappear. Now, I've been guilty of this one. My discomfort at seeing someone else struggle has caused me to avoid them because I couldn't withstand the discomfort or awkwardness of not knowing what to say or do. Don't do that. Instead, just be there, be present, be there for them. Even if it is uncomfortable and awkward and you don't know what to say or do, your presence means so much. Your presence speaks even when you're silent. You know that saying that you know who your true friends are when you're going through something? Most friends disappear. And so don't be that friend who disappears. Be the friend who can withstand the awkwardness and discomfort. It's okay to not know what to say or do. It's okay. It's okay to tell them, hey, I feel really awkward. I don't know what to say or do. And you can let them know that. You can let them know that you're there for them anyway. The second thing not to do is to dismiss them by saying things like, what do you mean? You're fine. what are you talking about? You always look happy. Your life is great. You shouldn't feel this way. You're just being dramatic. Get over it. And I've had that thought. I don't think I've said it, like, get over it, but I thought it, like, just get over it. Like, you actually are great. Like, you live in a first world country. You have education. You've got your health. Like, what is wrong with you? You got a great job. You got a great family. Like, why are you feeling this way? That is a very unhelpful response. Just because people might look like they've got a cheery disposition, like I do, and just because people might look like they have the dream life, doesn't mean they don't struggle on the inside. This is a huge misconception about that. So instead of dismissing them, like, what do you mean? Just be fine. You're fine. Get over it. Instead of doing that, acknowledge their thoughts and feelings. Like, they have thoughts and feelings. Let them know they're allowed to think and feel the way they do. Let them know they're not crazy for thinking and feeling the way they do. Because often they'll be like, you've got the perfect life. You're crazy for feeling depressed. It's like, no, they're not crazy. They're allowed to think that way. Let them know they're allowed to struggle. Even if it looks like they've got the perfect life, they're allowed to struggle. Everyone struggles. And that they're not alone in what they're going through. Okay, many people struggle. Lots of people struggle, and it's not like they're a bad person if they struggle. Let them know that other people have thought and felt similar ways to the way they have, if not the same ways. Because a lot of the time, feeling like we're crazy or feeling like we're the only one, that can just make it all worse. And it's not true, because we're not the only ones. So many people struggle. So many people have thoughts and feelings that aren't pleasant. The third thing of how not to respond is don't fret, don't freak out, don't worry. And I mean, like, you're allowed to have your feelings. If you're worried, you can worry, but don't put that on them. Meaning, like, don't take on their struggle. They've got their struggle. That's their struggle. You don't need to take that on your own shoulders. Instead, hold space for them. You can let them go through what they're going through. And, if it does affect you, that's okay. Some things that people are going through is heavy. If it does affect you and you are worried, of course, like, you can go through what you're going through too. But then you go get your own support. Don't put that on them. They're already going through their own stuff. Go through channels where you can go to your own psychologist or your own friend who you can talk to. Go somewhere for your own support. And you need that too. Like, don't think, oh, I've got it all together, I don't need support. No, if it is affecting your own well-being too, when someone shares their struggles, you go get support as well. And because I know, for one thing that can stop me from sharing my struggles is people worrying about me or pitying me. That's not why I'm sharing it. I don't want people to worry about me, and no one wants anyone to pity them. And of course, this might be for more mild cases. There are places for doing something, and definitely cases to be really, really worried. But for me, it was just more mild cases where I'm struggling through stuff, and I just want to talk about it. But I don't want you to worry about me, because I'm handling it. I've got my life and I'm doing stuff, and I just want to talk about my struggles. And how sometimes life can just really suck, and you just some days you're crying on your bed. And don't worry about it, though. You don't need to worry, because I don't need to look after you. I just need to express it. That's all. And you can hold space for that. You can hold space for people to cry. You can hold space for people to struggle. You can hold space for people to express their struggle without taking on the struggle, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, for me, I know if I'm at a place where I am often wanting to share, it's not because I want you to worry. It's just because I want someone to stand with me in it. Don't take it on. Just be with me. Hold the space for it. Let there be space for this. And so, yeah, just be with them in it. Be with them. Don't worry. Just listen. Just be with them in it, and hold space for them. And then the fourth thing is how not to respond is don't try to fix them. This is probably maybe the number one thing that people really don't like, is when we try to fix them. And when people say things like, just think positive, be grateful, do this, do that, see things this way. You just need to change how you see things. You just need to change your behavior. It's like, we would do that if we could. Like, we would actually do that if we were able to. That doesn't help. What it usually does is just adds guilt on top of it. Like, we know we should be grateful. We know we should think differently, but we can't. That's what depression, anxiety is. It like takes over your brain. And we know we should get up out of bed and do this thing, but, depression and anxiety has this hold over us. And if it just adds that guilt and that pressure and that expectation, the shoulds, you should do this, you should do that, well, it just makes us feel judged, and it makes us feel worse, and it makes us feel guilty, and it makes us feel like we can't be the way we are. And again, so instead of trying to fix, again, everyone's well-intentioned, we know that, but it doesn't help often. So instead of trying to fix, just let them know you care, let you know you're there for them. That's all. It's like, hey, you're struggling, that's okay to struggle, I'm here with you in that struggle. And let them know they don't have to change, let them know they don't have to be fixed for you to be their friend, for you to always be there no matter what. Let them know that if they have depression and anxiety for the rest of their lives, you're going to be okay with it, because you love them and you're going to be with them, and they don't have to change. And of course you want what's best for them, and you want them to be well and better and all that, but even if that never happens, you're still going to be there for them, you're still going to love them. And instead of trying to make their struggle go away, just be there with them in the struggle. And, the other tips, because some people are like, but I can't, that sounds terrible, that feels like I'm not doing anything. It's doing a lot. It's so helpful. Ask them what they need. Instead of saying, you need to do this, ask them what they need. And if it's just to listen, just listen then. That's the best thing you could possibly do. That feels so validating. And if they don't know what they need, don't worry, just be there with them. And you can share what helps for you, like frame it that way. This is what helps for me, but don't push that on them as, well, because this helped for me, it's going to help you. Or because this helped me, you have to do it. No, you can share what helps for you, but let them respond how they want to respond. Understanding that we're all different, and what helps for you might not help for them. And maybe it will help for them, but they're not ready for it yet. Like, just let them be where they are. Let them be where they are. Let them experience what they're going through. Let them express it. And I know that might feel like you're not doing much, just being there with them, but it's everything. When someone was there for me, just listening, it's everything. It's life-saving, it's soul-saving, it's soul-soothing. I don't need you to fix me, I just need you to listen. That's a motto, right? The fifth thing, a way not to respond is... Oh, wait, hang on. I didn't have a nice way of putting this, so let me just... A fifth thing that helps me, aside from just being there, listening and caring and being accepted as I am, the most helpful response is when people say things like, I've been there, I understand, me too. So instead of saying things like, oh, you're crazy, how could you possibly think like that, I don't get it, say things like, I've been there, I understand, me too. Sharing your experience of your own struggles brings connection and lets people know they're not alone. It's the most helpful. It's one of the most helpful things. So helpful. It's why I'm writing my book about my own experience, and I hope it helps people for this mental health fundraiser. Why I'm publishing this book. When I first started sharing about when I had depression and anxiety, a burden lifted off my shoulders when people said things like, oh yeah, I had depression and anxiety when I was younger, or I have it right now. That was just like a huge weight off my shoulders. And even if you've never had depression and anxiety, everyone has struggled. Everyone has felt pain before. Everyone has made a mistake and maybe hated themselves for a moment or felt bad about themselves. Try and tap into those feelings. And if someone's sharing about their pain, if someone's sharing about their self-loathing, if someone's sharing about their, for example, okay, if I share, I hate myself, don't be like, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you shouldn't hate yourself. Like, how could you possibly, how could you hate yourself? Not helpful. We know that. We know, we know that we shouldn't hate ourselves. We know, we know, like, often in the head knowledge, but our experience is that our reality in that moment is we hate ourselves. Just say, hey, I'm with you in that. I love you. I love you, and I hope that you can love yourself, but I get it. You right now, you don't love yourself, and it's okay that you don't. It's okay. I'm with you in that. Sometimes I do things and I feel really bad about myself too, So instead of going straight to the fix, going straight to the solution of like, you don't need to hate yourself. You're the best. You're the awesomest person in the world. You're amazing. No. How about you can say those things, of course, but what can be more helpful is just, hey, I felt like that too. Sometimes I've hated myself too. I know what that's like. It sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. And you're allowed to hate yourself if you want to hate yourself, but I just want to let you know I love you, and I hope that you can love yourself through this, and just, I hope you can do that, but you don't have to. And if you don't, I'm not going to drop you if you don't. That kind of thing. So just tap into those times when you felt like that. Empathy. Let's empathy. Be empathetic rather than solving things. Okay, so yeah, these are just my, tips that I hope are helpful. I hope they help you as someone who wants to help and means well, to have some tools in your toolkit now of helpful responses. And, I can put my hand up. Even though I know this and I've been through this, I still try to fix. I still try to solve. I am naturally inclined that way. That's my default mode. And I have to, sometimes someone's shared something with me and I've been like, well, this is something you could do. It's like, oh man, afterwards I've said that and I've just been like, oh, face palm. Like, oh my goodness. That person just wanted me to be like, hey, I'm with you. They didn't want me to say, this is what could help. Oh, and I know I do that. Wait till you ask. If they do ask for what helps you, then go nuts. If they do ask, what can I do? Go nuts. But if they don't, they just want a listening ear. They just want to be heard. They just want to be validated and seen and heard. Often. And you can ask them, can I share things that I think might help? You can ask that, but if they say no, then respect that. Respect them. Anyway, I hope that helped. I do hope that helped. And I guess I wanted to just get that first video out the way, sharing that, because, in these next videos where I'm going to share my story, I'm going to be sharing, some of my own struggles that I've gone through and maybe still currently going through. And I'm really hoping that I don't get comments and emails from people saying, well, you should just do this. Or, what are you talking about? Look at you. You have the best life. How dare you have depression and anxiety? It's like, okay, I'm really worried about that. And I know I can't, control every response I get. But I just know everyone is allowed to have their response, of course. Free speech and all. I'm just worried about my work. I'm letting you know this and trying to be as clear as possible to protect my own self, basically. Because I know that when I get unhelpful responses, it sets back my own mental health a lot. Like, even though I know all this stuff, when I get a response like, you shouldn't feel guilt, you should feel guilty, or you should feel this way, or you should do this, or, you're just being a drama queen, get over it. If I get a response like that, even though I know all this stuff, my internal experience will just spiral. It will go, oh no, I feel bad now. And, I've got my things that can help, and I know I can get out of it. But it will help if I don't have to use those tools to get out of it. And I would have these moments of like, oh man, that was a really unhelpful response. So, I'm trying to put this out there, and I'm just going to loop this video because I've got more to say. But I often, we don't get the helpful responses because we don't let people know. And I'm going to try to be as clear as possible and let people know. And I'm going to make the ask. Sometimes, it's just a matter of asking, hey, I'm going to share some things, and it'll be really helpful if I can just ask you to listen and just be there for me and be there. Like, I'm going to ask you to not fix me. I'm going to ask you to accept me the way I am. And I'm going to ask you, this and this and that. Of course, everyone has their own response, free will and all. You can do what you want. But, this is the thing we can do. If, as people, we're putting ourselves out there. We're putting ourselves on a limb when we ask. But if we don't ask, we don't get, right? And we are able, this is a lot of the stuff I'm talking about here comes from psychology in Seattle. I would never do this before. Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I would never ask and be very clear. Like, hey, when I do this, it would be great if you could do this. But Kirk models this language. He models these conversations, and he says, like, people aren't mind readers. They don't know what you need. They don't know what you want. You have to sometimes ask for what you need and want. You have to sometimes tell them and be very clear and let people step up to the plate. Not everyone is going to do that. But the ones who care, the ones who truly are, your friends, they will be like, thank you so much for telling me what you need, because, man, I had no idea. Or I thought I knew, but I didn't. So thank you so much for telling me what you need, because now I can do it. They're your true friends. They're the ones who are like, awesome, I hear you and I will meet your request. The ones who don't, you're going to get them, and that's just life. That is just life. Just because we ask for a certain response doesn't mean we'll get it. And don't get bitter about that, Hey, I told you to do this. I told you to... No, people are their own people, and they are allowed to respond the way they want. So, of course, we give people that freedom. We give people that respect. I'm just saying this because I know what's going to help my own well-being. And if this is going to help, then I will put myself out there and ask. And in a way, it will hurt more if I put this out there and then I do get a response of like, you shouldn't feel that way, or here's how you can fix it. Then that will hurt 10 times more now that I've made the ask. That's why we don't want to ask, because it will feel like a double rejection then. Because if you're ignorant and you give that response, like, okay, fair enough. But then if you have been asked and made that request and they still do it, then it feels like a double whammy of pain and hurt, and just like, okay. But we can know this. We can be differentiated. We can know this about ourselves and be like, okay, people can have their response, and it doesn't have to make me spiral. And that's what I'm going to have to take care of myself with, and be strong enough in that to go, okay, I might get these responses that aren't going to be helpful, and it's going to really hurt. It's going to hurt. But I'm strong enough to withstand that with this knowledge, that some people will step up to the plate, and that it's worth it for that. I hope this is all making sense. But yeah, I just want to put out this first video, I guess, as a way to help my own well-being, but as a way also to facilitate, open communication, so that if you're one of those people who are on the receiving end, now you have some tools that might help. And also, therefore, it will help the people who can share, because so many of us don't share because we're afraid of all these responses. And that is horrible. I guess my number one thing, now that I've gone through depression and anxiety and had that whole journey in 2015 and 16, my number one thing is I don't want people to suffer in silence. People are going to suffer. That's just a thing in life. People are going to suffer, and that's okay. But no one needs to suffer in silence. Never. Ever does anyone have to suffer in silence, okay? But so many do, because they're afraid of the responses they're going to get. So if we can all be gentle with them and just accept people the way they are and be with them, then hopefully not one single person will feel scared to share anymore. And that's my goal here, I guess. And I'm going to try and lead by example and be courageous and share my story and open myself up for unhelpful responses, to try and lead that way. I'm always about lead by example, and hopefully open up the way for other people to be courageous and share too, and hopefully open up the way for people to respond well to them when they share. And again, lead by example, because yes, I might get responses that aren't helpful, but I'm going to try to model and lead by example in how I respond to that, to show that it doesn't have to destroy you, that you can open up, and maybe you won't get a helpful response, but that doesn't have to destroy you, because I'm here with you, and there are people here with you who do get it. We will step up to the plate and be there with you. And even me, I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. I might try to fix you sometimes, and I really apologize for that. I'm so sorry. And if I've said anything unhelpful, and I will say unhelpful things in the future, and I'm sorry, I'm human. And it hurts me and it hurts you, and I really am sorry about that. But we can withstand that, we can be strong enough, and we can overcome that together and be like, okay, we said this wrong thing, I'm sorry, here's what can help in going forward. There's going to be ruptures. This is another psychological thing. There's going to be ruptures, and sometimes our friends are going to hurt us, but we don't have to drop them just because they hurt us, because we really do mean well, and we can have open communication about, okay, that didn't help, this can help, and let's repair that rupture that just happened there. If you want to do that, you don't have to do that, of course. Okay, I've rambled on, and I just hope that somehow this connects with people and opens the way to more communication and dialogue. And in the next video in this series, I'll start sharing more of my journey and my own struggles, and the response I want, I hope, is not, well, you shouldn't struggle with that. Like, look at you, you're a first world country person, like, you've got everything, why do you struggle with this? Or the other response, hey, here's how you can fix that struggle. No, just be with me in the struggle, let me know it's okay to think and feel the way I do. And if you have gone through it yourself, share that as well. because yeah, I'm gonna come up and share some things later on. Let me have my thoughts and feelings. Let me have the experience. Let me struggle. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Yes, I have continued struggles with depression and anxiety. Yes, I have moments of pain and crying and all of that. But I'm okay. I don't need you to fix me. I don't need judgment or anything. Just be with me in it. Be with me in those struggles as I express them. So this is me like reassuring. I'm okay. You don't need to worry. You don't need to change me. You don't need to fix me. I'm okay. I'm okay with the struggle. I'm okay with the fact that I'm going to have depression and anxiety bouts maybe for the rest of my life. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I want you to be okay with that too. Okay. I hope that was helpful. I really hope that was helpful. And if you connected with anything in this, feel free to share as well. And I hope you enjoy this series. And I hope you're doing really well. And I'm with you in the struggle. And yeah, I'm with you. Right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Check all the information down below for ways to be involved with the fundraiser and the book I'm writing and everything. And hope it's all going to be a helpful series this year and journey and process this year. And yeah, we're all in it together. Struggles are okay. It's okay to struggle. All right, I'm going to leave with that. I'm rambling. Bye, guys.